I just skimmed through an article where apparently the FBI is getting involved in rounding up immigrants, and this is one I don't feel good about. Uh, I'm all about securing the border. I get it logically, like we don't have a country without a border. I voted for it. I'm cool with it. But when it comes to rounding up people that are already here, especially regular families, the numbers are something like 10 million illegals came it, during the Biden administration, and they're saying that's on the low end. And I don't believe that most of them are criminals. I mean, I don't even think half of them are criminals. I think it's like way lower than that. And saying that they're criminals because they crossed the border illegally is not good enough for me. Like, if I was in that situation, I would do it too. Believe me, dude. Especially if I had a family, I'd be throwing my kids over the fence. Like, I hope there's a soft landing on the other side. Uh, but I think maybe I understand that because I'm an immigrant myself, and I think there's a good percentage of Americans who don't like immigrants, whether they're legal or not. I think that's true. Well, I know that's true because growing up in Sacramento, there's a pretty high population of Slavic immigrants, and boy, the Americans in Sacramento did not like us. I'm not saying most of them, but a lot of them. They did not like us being there. They told us straight up they would call us Russians, because it was basically anybody from the former Soviet Union, whether you're from Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus. They didn't really care to, differentiate, but they said it like Russians. Like there was a punch that came with it. It wasn't endearing. It was like Russians. And they didn't like us for many reasons, mostly cultural. Like we were very religious. There's a few other things we did things differently, but uh, and it was felt like, oh, I mean, it was really felt. I think people who live in Sacramento know what I'm talking about, whether you are Slavic or American. Like I think you know what I'm talking about. That in Sacramento, the Slavic people, they're looked down on. Like it's true, and Americans don't make any. They're not shy about being rude to us about it and all that sort of thing. Maybe less now, but definitely when I was a kid growing up, dude, I would get bullied all the time for being Russian. Like all the time. Uh, so I understand that this, whether being legal or illegal, I think that there is a huge, not huge, maybe I don't know if it's huge, but it seemed big to me, percentage of Americans who don't like immigrants at all, legal or illegal. And I think this deportation thing has a lot to do with that. Has more so to do with it than anything else. Has more to do with it than catching criminals. I think if Trump really wanted to differentiate between potential criminals and regular hardworking families, I think he would. I think he'd find a way. But I think he's going along with the sentiment of a lot of people in America where they don't care to differentiate. They're just tired of immigrants. And I do think that there's a lot of people who look down on Mexicans too in America. Um, I think that's an unfortunate reality. And I think if you are an immigrant, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. uh, Not everybody welcomes immigrants into America because we stir up the pot. We bring different ideas and different cultures, and it makes people uncomfortable. And but I don't like the idea of deporting like regular people. I think it's okay to build a wall to stop them from coming in the first place, but once they're already here, I think it would be a better idea to find a way to integrate them, and see them as an asset and see them as a positive addition and not judge them on the fact that they came here illegally. Because I hear this argument all the time. Well, they're criminals because they came here illegally, but that can be legally true, but it's not true in the common sense way, in that you could be a totally good person and you came here illegally because you couldn't come here legally, because there wasn't a path for you to come here legally, and that you were desperate, and that you were trying to survive, and that you were trying to take care of your family, that doesn't make you a criminal or a bad person. A criminal is somebody who like hurts other people. They come here and they continue to hurt other people. I would differentiate between those two segments. I would not put a murderer in the same place as a family of immigrants who came here because they want a better life. I would not put those in the same category, you know? And I think that America would be better off if they found a way to differentiate between these two groups rather than saying, well, they're all the same, throw them out. Because you're throwing out some good stuff. I've heard Trump say all the time, we need more people. And I think that's true. I think these are people that can add to our country, that can make it better. And I'm all about securing the border, but since they're already here, right? My argument is for people that are already here. Like, find a way. I think if you really wanted to, you'd find a way to differentiate between thieves and murderers and people who just want to work and have a good life. And I think we could use those people that want to have a good life because they would contribute. That's a good thing. But we're throwing out most of these people. And I don't even think that out of those 10 to 15 million, again, I don't think it's even half that are criminals. So we're throwing out millions of people that could contribute to our country in a positive way, that are contributing to our country in a positive way, just because we don't want to bother going through the process of sifting through them. And people say, well, this is going to cost this and that. I think the benefit will outweigh the cost. And in the long term, how much they're going to contribute to our economy and to our culture and all the other things. Like, they're already here. Putting them through a process of doing it, of coming here legally, is going to probably take more resources. That being said, I'm all about securing the border and creating wide gates where people can come in correctly. I think that's one thing that Trump is doing correctly when it comes to immigration is let's make it easier for people to come here legally. I think that's great. But yeah, in terms of people that are already here and they're having families here and they're working and they're not doing criminal activities, I don't understand why you would bother those people. Like, why not find a way to legitimize them and integrate them? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that, like, I'm going in circles, but I think this is going to be a blight in the history of the United States. People are going to look back and they're going to be like, man, not good. Rounding people up already sounds very 20th century, like, but I understand, like, I get it. This is not an easy topic. This is actually a very difficult and complicated issue, and it's not black and white. I think there's a lot of issues on Trump's agenda that are kind of black and white that I can easily side with one or another. On this one, it's more difficult. It's more difficult. I understand the need for a secure border, and I'm all about it. Otherwise, we don't have a country. But if people are finding a way to cross that border, that's on us. We made a mistake. So, secure the border. But if they're already here, see it as an asset and find a way to integrate rather than expel. It doesn't look good, and I don't think it's actually a good idea to get rid of people that could potentially help us. Anyway, those are my 2 thoughts, 2 cents. I am biased on this issue, being an immigrant. I have a bigger heart for immigrants, so this is not an unbiased perspective. Anyway, let me know if you're an immigrant. How do you feel about this? Especially from the immigrants, I would like to hear more. How do you feel about this? Are you torn? Are you one way or another? It's weird. I actually have bumped into a lot of immigrants who are very anti-immigration. I find that ironic. Anyway, talk to me. Cheers.